Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Perfect Profit Formula podcast. I'm very blessed today to have Tissa Richards. She's an author and keynote speaker. She wrote a book called No Permission Needed, Unlock Your Leadership Potential, Eliminate Self-Doubt. Welcome, Tissa. How are you?
Thank you, Perry. I'm great. It's so good to be here.
So let me just dive right in. I've got a few prepared questions, and then we'll just see where the conversation goes after that.
Perfect.
Great. So please tell me about how you got started, about how you got into the business world and bring me up to where you are today.
Yeah, so I spent my formative years in Silicon Valley, so I was sort of steeped in the culture of startups. And it was very hard not to find yourself working for or investing in a startup.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I did. I had the opportunity to invest in a couple and then, be there on the executive staff. And then I was given a really interesting challenge by somebody, hey, can you solve this problem? And, as a redhead, when somebody challenges you, you go, oh, we're on. So that's how I ended up starting my last company. And once I wound that down, I think I just realized I was really burned out on raising money. And
Mm-hmm.
the startup world is not as glamorous as we make it look. We would do things like the team would fly coach because you don't have a lot of budget. So we'd fly
Mm-hmm.
coach to India and Australia for one night. You fly, you get there in the morning, do a day of meetings, one night at a hotel, day of meetings, and fly back coach. And the next morning you are in the office for the whole day. And
Bleary-eyed.
yes, so I don't think I could do that today. I just don't, I'm too old. So yeah, it just sort of really takes a toll, and
Mm-hmm.
it's fun. I sort of miss touching product and being innovative, but I'm glad I got that out of my system when I had the energy for it.
And you have to pitch so many times to find the right investor and work with a couple smaller companies now. And I'm teaching the entrepreneurs. It's a process, it might take 100 times before you find the right investor.
Oh my gosh, the energy it takes to find a 5,000 or a 10,000 or $100,000 check is the same energy as it takes to get $1
Mm-hmm.
million. And it is exhausting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's good teaching moment, and then you get to meet a lot of great people along the way, and refine your thinking as improve the pitch deck along. So there are advantages, but it's grueling, that's for sure.
It's really grueling. And you're spot on, because I think no, I know I would raise money differently now for on a number of
Mm-hmm.
fronts, but on one of them for sure, I look at my old pitch decks, or I look at pitch decks now from founders, and I think, well, wait a minute, this looks more like a customer deck, right? Like this is all about the
Mm-hmm.
product and what's under the hood. And I know you're really proud of your product, it's your baby, but it doesn't answer the market question or the ROI question for the
Right,
investor.
right.
And it's really hard to pull yourself, I was going to say back, but I think it's also up to that
Mm-hmm.
30,000-foot view and really talk to what an investor cares about. But you're so attached to the technology and how it works and the features. And so I always say to a founder today, I'm like, wait a minute, if a customer would be remotely interested in this deck, it is not a pitch deck.
Right, good point.
But
Exactly
it's really
right.
hard because that's your baby.
It's your baby, you poured your heart and soul into it.
You want to talk about all the sort of patentable pieces. The investors don't really care.
Right, that's right. Well, and,
Yeah.
and a lot of times too, I've seen founders that say, we've all worked so hard on this. One investor to come in and pay us for all the work we put into it. No, an investor wants to see an already working revenue generation engine, and
Yeah.
his or her money is fuel on that. That there's not
Yeah.
to clean up your old accounts payable.
No. And that's why early stage companies are so hard. It's really hard to get that early stage sort of fuel capital.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the most grueling part. If I had one more person that would say, well, come back when you have, five major customers and
Right.
$5 million in monthly recurring ARR. And I thought, I don't need you then,
Right.
I need
Right.
you now. So
Right.
it's really tiring.
It is. Yeah, it is. Well, it's part of the process. So if you're not self-funded, you know,
Yeah. And you
it
can only
it
self-fund for so long before
Right.
you cannot buy food for yourself and your family. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Well, that's part of our free market system, right? It's a winnowing process.
Yes. Yeah.
We've all seen so many people that have awesome ideas that really would revolutionize the world, but they just don't have all the pieces put together, so it never goes anywhere.
No, no. And I think so. I think that's one thing I would do differently is how I talked about the technology, but another is also how you assess your prospective investors, right? You're almost
Hmm.
afraid. You're so desperate for capital that you're afraid to ask questions because you're almost so honored that somebody that has a checkbook is there talking to you that you forget to ask really important questions.
Right. Exactly right. Well, in fact, I tell early founders sometimes that, money is fungible. Money is a commodity. We want an investor that's going to help us grow the business, going to bring more to the table than just money. As hard as it is to get that money,
Yeah.
right? We want more. We want a partner that's going to help us,
Yeah.
who
Well,
knows what buttons to push.
Well, and I think, Perry, in addition to being fungible, not all dollars are created equal. And that's a really hard thing to understand when you're a founder who is, um, who's flailing for capital. But when you
Mm-hmm.
think about it, a dollar from an investor or a prospective investor who's not aligned with you and aligned on a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think even a fundamental values alignment, that is going to sap your energy so fast
Mm-hmm.
but you're so desperate for capital that you're willing to take it and you feel like there's a power imbalance, like you can't ask those questions to do that alignment
Mm-hmm.
assessment. And it feels stupid. Why would you do that? You just need the capital. But in 1, 2, 3, or 4 quarters, that misalignment is going to exhaust you and potentially ground you or run you into the ground.
Right. That's right.
So in that way, a dollar is not a dollar.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. It's a negative $1,000.
Or a negative millions and millions of dollars, but
Right.
you have to maybe shut things down, or you're at such a fundamental loggerheads.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have the headspace to think about that because all you're trying to do is keep the lights on.
Right.
So I think until you're way past there and you have the perspective to look back, um, it's a really hard thing to do while you're in the middle
Mm-hmm.
of that grind.